Those who are mad at new Colorado head football coach Deion Sanders about his comments on the Rich Eisen show recently need to calm down for a second. All right, now, if you don't know, Prime said that he wants his quarterbacks to be from a dual-parent home and have great grades. But he wants his defensive linemen to be from single-parent homes, have a free lunch, and they're just out here trying to get it, to paraphrase. We'll play the clip when I get done. And it sent the internet ablaze. And the typical blue checks who line up on this app and in other apps to take everything they hear and scream oppression, regardless of who says it, as loud as possible, did what they normally do. And while it may be a little crass, I get it, he isn't saying something outlandish. So many coaches have used that same old joke or line because it highlights the stigmas and differences on both sides of the ball. Defense is more reactionary, and it's not typically thought of as cerebral as offenses. You hear these two guys say, oh, go see ball, hit ball all the time, which we know they're 100% wrong. The defensive guys are truly the smart ones. And also, while Prime has gotten divorced twice, he has been an integral part of his children's lives. He has 5 of them, 3 boys and 2 girls, and all 5 are successful and productive members of society. He is doing his part as a parent and as a man. He isn't out there advocating for single mothership. It's not his fault that the father's not there. He's doing his job. In fact, he's really only pointing out something that we already know. Having 2 strong and loving parents who are involved is without a doubt the best way for a child to grow up. You can do that if you're divorced as well. Now, I don't always agree with what Deion Sanders says and does, but when it comes down to fulfilling his fatherly duties, he has excelled. The truth is that Prime doesn't seriously practice exactly what he said on the Rich Eisen show, in my opinion. Now, guys like Mike Freeman from USA Today, who wrote a scathing article, are easily fooled because they don't really understand what they're covering. They understand it from the outside in. They've got a 30,000-foot view. Because to me, actions speak louder than words, and Deion is fulfilling his role. Now, if we can get some others out there to fulfill their role, it'd probably put us much further ahead in society than where we are right now. I'm gonna go ahead and bring in my co-host, David Cohn, other co-host, Blaine Crane, former Western State, Colorado wide receiver. Look, Deion says some things that, would rub people the wrong way, and I wanna go ahead and play this clip before we get into it. But this is something like has been joked about and coaches talk about all the time. It doesn't make you a terrible person for pointing out the truth. Let's roll the clip.
Can you tell who that is just by talking to him now that you're walking in the living rooms and you're seeing more and more and more?
We have different attributes: smart, tough, fast, disciplined with character. Yep. We're looking at now quarterbacks are different.
Yeah.
We want mother, father, dual parent. Mm-hmm. We want that kid to be 3, 5 and up because he's got to be smart. Mm-hmm. Not bad decisions off the field at all, because he has to be a leader of men. It's so many different attributes in what we look for when we see a quarterback. And you would love a coach's son, somewhere that the coach has coached him. And I'm not going down my road. I see you smiling because I know who your quarterback is right now. He's talking about my son. I didn't just build a template for my son, but that's what really we look for in quarterbacks. Different positions are different. Like O-lineman, I look for dual parent homes,
right?
A strong father that they adhered to,
right?
Smart kid, at least 3.3 and above.
You're also describing Hurts.
Yeah, tough.
Well.
Physical. Offensive lineman. Defensive lineman is totally opposite.
What do you mean?
Single mama. Trying to get it. He's on free lunch. I'm talking about just trying to make it. He trying to rescue mama. Like mama barely made the flight.
Trying to get out the mud.
And I want him to just go get it. It's a whole different attributes that you look for in different positions, and we have that stuff just chronicled. We know what we want, and we go get it.
Yeah, so and you can tell kind of the joking tone. Deion Sanders isn't going to turn down a 5-star defensive end because both his parents are there. And really what he's saying is, in my opinion, and it's the truth in society, look, you have some people that are born into success. They look around, they have nice things, they understand what success is, they're living it, and they want to continue that. And those people are still hungry. There's some that aren't. Just like in both categories, some people are hungry, some people aren't. You're going to find that in all different walks of life. But when you do look at the numbers, when you look at somebody who was born into success, all right, and that is something they have to maintain, not go get, that is a different type of mindset than somebody who was born into a place that is chasing success that maybe has never had success. It's more of that golden egg on the hill as opposed to you being on the hill right next to the golden egg. And when it comes to defenses and offenses, look, offenses with wide receivers and quarterbacks, there's, a pretty aspect to it, right? You get all the girls and all the pub. Offensive line's a little bit different. But on defense, I mean, you're out there you're having to just run things down and run into things. Mm-hmm. It's not for the faint of heart. So when you look at it from that aspect and really from the truth, what Deion said, even though I think he was saying that in jest, and I'll start with you, David, is true.
Deion Sanders is a wild card. He's a lot like Lane Kiffin. What he wants most of all is to be talked about, and that's what we're doing. We're talking about him, and he's being funny here.
Yeah.
Deion Sanders is being funny here. Now, it's not lost on me that if Nick Saban or if Dabo Swinney made this same comment, not a lot of people would find it funny.
Which is not Deion Sanders' fault.
No, but I think that NAACP would already be in Tuscaloosa already. Yeah. But that point aside, he's being funny, okay, which is why the people around him laughed. And there is something to be said, and you guys coached. I've never had to rely on 18 to 22-year-old young men to put food on my table. Both of you have, okay? There is something to be said for the sport of football being an outlet for those who come from rough upbringings, right? It's hard to risk everything if you're given everything. Mm-hmm. With that being said, obviously, you don't need to come from a single-parent household in order to be hungry or to be tough. Yeah. I grew up with a lot of guys who didn't have a father in the household who thought that they were tough, and they didn't make it to the second day of football practice once the pads get put on. And the opposite of that is true as well. So, look, I think that, to your point, Jake, when you look around at some of the greatest defensive linemen that we're seeing in the game right now, like a Khalil Mack, Aaron Donald, Nick and Joey Bosa, those guys come from two-parent households, right? You can tell me Deion Sanders wouldn't have them play in Colorado? Yeah. Obviously not. He's trying to make a joke. It didn't come. I mean, some people, were upset by. Everybody's going to be upset by something now.
Yeah, whether it's Tiger Woods handing a tampon to Justin Thomas or Deion Sanders joking about this, we've lost the ability to
and on his own son. I mean, like you said, Deion Sanders is divorced, right? Like that's a broken home situation. His son plays quarterback for him.
Yeah. Well, first of all, he's not the only guy that's saying this. There's plenty of coaches behind closed doors who would say the exact same thing. Deion's just the only guy who'll come out.
Yeah.
He'll come out.
You and I both know from people that have been on, there's a certain humongously successful coach that has a certain percentage of white kids that he signs in each recruiting class, and that's part of what he does too. I'm not going to say who, but a lot of coaches do that, and that's actually part of a certain structure.
You would be amazed the things you would hear behind closed doors when it comes to coaches. It will blow your mind. But to certain things, he's just talking about certain attributes in guys. Like you want a D lineman to have that motor that has been having to go get it his entire life. Because let me tell you this right now: to play defense in general, especially if you're going to play in the box and anything above a high school level, you have to be somewhat insane. You have to be somewhat insane. The physical contact. You go, look, man, I was a receiver. All right, I don't like getting hit. I don't like getting tackled, all right? I go out of my way not to get tackled.
Your job is to not get tackled,
all right? But these guys on defense, there has to be a certain thing, you can say, that have that dog in them, whatever you want to say, there has to be a certain thing you bring to the table. But every coach has this, the cross the T's and dot the I's when it comes to recruiting guys. Deion's not afraid to say what Deion's going to say. That's what makes it Deion Sanders. But I'm telling you, you would be amazed. You would be amazed. If y'all think this is bad, you should hear some of the stuff. And there's always an exception. Deion's not going to not recruit Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
Because he's just
if he went and saw Riley Moss.
There's always an exception when it comes to stuff
what he
like
did
this.
at the Senior
But you got to have a template when you look at guys like this. So this is funny. Everyone just calm down. And all we do is cry and cry and cry and cry. It's getting old.
Yeah, and that's when you look at our society compared to what I was watching a video the other day, our kids are being told, hey, you can be a boy, a girl, a stove, or a unicorn while Chinese kids are over there learning how to take apart a pistol in the
you saw that.
That's interesting because I was looking up a little bit about Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald's been one of the best defensive players in football for the last half decade, for sure. I was looking up a little bit of his story, and he admitted when I was younger, I was sort of lazy. I was lazy in middle school and things like that. And he said his dad created a routine for them where he would get up at 4:30 a.m. with him to start working out. And that became sort of his routine that then segued him into high school. That's a great anecdotal example, like what we're talking about, sort of an anomaly of a situation where you have a father saying, hey, I'm gonna bring you along. I'm gonna make you tough. This is gonna be better for you in the long run. And if it just so happens that you end up being good at football, that's very good too. Again, an anomaly, but still a great point that I think is worth noting when it comes to Deion's recruiting.
Yeah, and again, I don't want to make it sound like we're painting anybody with a dual parent home and that have success in a negative light. That's what I want. I want to leave for my kids better than what I had it, and I want them to want to leave their kids better than they had it. Just because you want to be the start of that? Great. You want to be the face on the crest of the shield that the rest of the generations look back and said, that's the guy, that's fantastic. But I don't want that to be the situation. I don't want my son to have to be so hungry to go out there and go get it because he's trying to get mom on a flight. No, I'm going to book mama's flight. I'm going to pay the mortgage. I'm going to do all this. I'm going to take you to the places that give you an opportunity to be the best that you can be.
And that's my main point. Each person responds to their life circumstances in a different manner. For Aaron Donald, it was better to have a father in the household because he woke him up at 4:30 in the morning and they worked out together. For some guys, maybe it makes them hungrier and have a stronger drive to succeed if they don't have a father in the household. Or if I think about the story of Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs was put up for adoption, and because he was adopted, that was like a chip on his shoulder that ended up for him being the richest man in the world at some point. You never know how someone else could be put up for adoption and they crumble under the weight of that. Everybody responds to life circumstances differently.
That's the greatest part about living in this country. You determine how well you do, regardless of what the media tells you. YouTube, come here. Come take a seat in the trust tree. Let's have a talk. All right, here's what I need you to do. I appreciate you. You put us on, you show us. And fans of the show, subscribe, like, turn on the notification bell so you can find all our content, because that's how we make money being funny.